Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. Heavy rains have wreaked havoc in parts of the country, causing substantial damage to infrastructure and agriculture. Let's look at the challenges faced by farmers, particularly in Ehlanzeni district. I'm joined now by David Mthombeni from the African Farmers Association of South Africa, Mpumalanga. He's the chairperson there. Very good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for your time. These heavy rains have really wreaked havoc in parts of the country, causing a huge amount of damage, not only to infrastructure, but the agriculture sector has also been affected. An incredibly difficult time for farmers in the district. What are the challenges that you're facing?
Thanks, Mo, for an opportunity to share these challenges that we are facing as an agribusiness sector. As of now, yes, Mpumalanga is really hit by the floods. As we speak now, all the stakeholders are busy trying to assess the extent of the damage, but nothing has been quantified up to so far. But just to touch a little bit the impact of these floods in the agribusiness sector, it has hit us a lot across the entire commodities. Hence, we know that Ehlanzeni is very much strong in sugarcane commodity, and you go to horticulture, and some of the areas are in red meat, and the wild animal in the Kruger National Park area is hardly affected. And as we speak now, a lot of equipment are swimming in water, and as a result, farmers can't do anything with those equipment up until the water has gone down. Then we can be able now to determine exactly the extent of the damage. And you go into crops such as vegetables is also highly affected, and those who are doing maize are highly affected as well. And across agricultural sector, it's not that far. You look into the animals, and when you've got water like this, the chances of diseases to affect the animals are very high. Diseases like flies, diseases like red water and the tick bone. Those are the things that we need to attend as soon as this disaster is gone. But chances as of now, chances are very minimal. Hence, we know that from the Weather Bureau that there is a hurricane that goes with a thunderstorm that might hit Mozambique and goes through Limpopo via Mpumalanga up to KZN. And that might also hit us again in Mpumalanga and also touch the area of Gauteng district around Mkhondo and Chief Albert Luthuli.
So, I mean, you've mentioned a lot of big challenges here, but let's perhaps just go for them in small chunks. With the sector taking such a massive beating, I mean, first it was the impact of load shedding, which resulted in power insecurity, which is a massive factor. And now these floods. What impact will all these factors have on the country's food security? You've spoken about what's happening with the crops and the animals and your concerns at this point in time.
Food security is going to be highly affected. Job security is going to be affected. And to an extent that more especially the emerging farmers, some of them, if they are not getting intensive support, chances of them to survive within the sector are very minimal.
So what kind of support are you in need of now?
The urgent support, we need to, as the water goes down, we need to go and do assessment into the damage, infrastructural damage, more especially to the farmers who are doing irrigation. You look into the damage on the crops, whether some of the crops has already been eroded, and the chances of replanting are zero. The planting season is gone, and the measures now is to rehabilitate the fields and prepare for the next planting season. You need financial input cost and to rebuild those affected land so that in the next planting season can be in a position to be replanted again. And also look into soil properties with this erosion, whether the soil properties are still in good condition or whether you have to boost the soil.
You speak about the next planting season being extremely crucial because a lot is at stake. You also make mention of the weather forecast in terms of what's going to happen in Mozambique and the impact it will have in Mpumalanga. One would think that as farmers, there would be some sort of anticipation of the impact of the weather. Just the other day, the SA Weather Service was saying to me that every year around this time there are heavy rains which are bound to cause destruction and really impact a lot of parts of the country. Are you in conversations with the different spheres in provincial government, like for instance the Department of Environmental Affairs, on how you can work together to now be in a position where you are proactive as opposed to reactive? I mean, you speak about the planting season now. It needs to happen again. How are you going to ensure that you don't find yourself in the same position come next year around this season?
Surely, that's a very good question that you are asking. Last week, I was in contact with the head of the department, Mr. Judah. We were discussing the extent of the damage. And we go to the point that it says, let's give ourselves the chance to do the assessment. And then after we have quantified the extent of the assessment, then it's when then we can start to discuss what are the interventions from all the reports that will be, so that we can consolidate everything and from there look into the next step and then to see to it what support really is needed, and we start to prioritize step by step the sequence of events, what need to come first up until the planting season. But also on the other side, we need the private sector's intervention and the other agricultural agencies like ACTA and PALS, so that we can pull our heads together and all other commodities that are in the agribusiness, so that we can see how we can take this thing collectively so that we can come up with a better solution for the future. Lastly, that's a thing that as a country, entirely across the 9 provinces, that we are lacking. We need to be proactive in pre-planning and in come up with major problems that can be there. As we see now, the El Nino and all these disasters, it's a thing of that almost is happening yearly now. We need to come up with measures that will be in place that should this come, what is the action in order to help the farmers.
Yeah, I mean, it's important that you mentioned the El Nino because you're dealing with floods now. Before you know it, you'll be going into a dry season, and that in itself is another challenge.
Exactly. Those are all the fundamental factors that are affecting the agricultural sector. And once the agricultural sector is affected, the food security, the job security, the GDP of the country, hence we know that the agriculture is one of the resilient sector in our GDP in South Africa.
So in your conversations with farmers who've been severely impacted, I mean, what's the sentiment? How are they feeling, and how are they looking to get around this?
As of now, from the ground, I'm communicating almost constantly with Mr. Sitole around Ehlanzeni, and so that he's updating me with all the challenges, but the major challenges to a certain extent are the people where their homes, they've been affected by this disaster. Some of them, they don't have shelters and all those things. And also looking into it as of today, the Deputy Minister of Copter is in Ehlanzeni trying to see what are the action measures that can be put in place to ensure the affected farmers and the entire community they are taken care of.
Thank you so much for your time, and all the best to you, David Mthombeni, who is the chairperson of the African Farmers Association of South Africa in Mpumalanga.